Thank you, everyone, for joining the webinar today. This is Global Software's webinar with Knape Vogt on how to save hundreds of hours of your time on reporting. I'm really excited to have Cory Bale with me today on this webinar. Cory works for Knape Vogt as a controller. He is a CPA with a number of years of experience in audit and assurance with Grant Thornton. He's been with Knape Vogt for 9 years, and he's been a huge part of their Oracle implementation as well as the implementation of Spreadsheet Server, and also in getting to the point where he's able to save all of this time and effort on his report building. He is considered an Oracle super user. He's been a part of the mergers and acquisitions team and been through several acquisitions using the Oracle e-business suite solution. And now he oversees the record to report process for the global enterprise. He's going to be sharing with us today how he uses Spreadsheet Server and how he's been able to save time and effort on his Oracle e-business suite reporting. I also have with me Kevin Gibson. He's also a CPA and is our senior consultant within solutions enablement here at Global Software. He's going to, at the end, he'll be taking you through Spreadsheet Server and just showing you a little bit about the solution and how it works in addition to what Cory has shared with you. You are all muted right now. Should you have any questions, we're happy to address those throughout the presentation. If you could just use your Q&A box and type in your question there, we'll go ahead and address that as we go through the presentation. So as I said, I'm with Global Software. We are based in Raleigh, North Carolina. We do have offices in Seattle and in New York, as well as in London and in Perth. We've been around quite a long time, so as well as in terms of software products and industries, we've been around since 1973. Our Spreadsheet Server solution has been around for about 20 years, and we're currently actively supporting over 4,500 customers in over 120 countries. So we do have quite a few customers around the world using Spreadsheet Server. So just a little bit about the product that we're going to spend some time talking about today with Cory. Our philosophy is to start in Excel and stay in Excel. One of the things that we've learned over the many years we've been around is that most users of products like Oracle e-business suite, as well as some of the other ERPs that are out there, they're spending a lot of time doing exports into Excel from the ERP. So they might run a report and export it into Excel, or they might pull up some data and do an export and then build pivot tables around it. Whatever the case may be, our philosophy is to completely eliminate the need to do that so that you don't have to spend all that time building out a format, getting your data in there, and then simply having to redo it every single time you want to refresh the data. We build it right in Excel and just simply refresh it. And we give you the ability with our distribution manager tool to go ahead and share that information. So it's all integrated into the same Excel ribbon. And we'll show you that here in a little bit, but it just gives you a lot of flexibility in building out reports and using reports that you currently have and being able to get to the data that you need more quickly and easily without spending lots of time formatting. I'm going to let Cory go into the details about the company, but I do just want to mention that we are an OAUG partner, among partners with Oracle as well. We're a gold partner with Oracle, and so we do have a lot of connections with those organizations in terms of the e-business suite product and what happens there, as well as with the user groups and making the connections through those user groups. As a matter of fact, I'm the chair of the Michigan Oracle user group. So if any of you have any questions about that connection with OAUG or with Oracle, we're happy to address those as well. Cory, now I'll let you go ahead and speak about your experiences with Knape Vogt.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As was mentioned, I am the controller at Knape Vogt Manufacturing, and we are just a little high-level information about our company. We manufacture a variety of different products that include, but not limited to, sliding systems, storage organization, and office ergonomic products So you can think of a lot of home good accessories, drawer slides that, are used for residential, also commercial, as you talk about, file cabinets, sliding systems, things of that nature. Also into, products that you might find in your house, in your garage, closet accessories, garage storage accessories, and things of that nature. We are headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we have operating facilities in California, Illinois, Canada, and 2 of them over in Taiwan. So we have a little bit of a global reach when it comes to that. And we've been live with Oracle for about 3 years now, just shy of 3 years. And I'll talk a little bit about our Oracle journey. It actually, yes, we've been live for 3 years. However, it was a long road for us to get there. We essentially started this back in 2008, and we had to, right in the middle of it, we kind of hit that recession in 2008, 2009 timeframe. So we actually had to make a business decision to put it on ice for a little bit. And when we started it back up after the recovery, we went into a phased approach rather than a big bang approach. And with that, we started with the financial modules first. So that was your general ledger, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. And then on top of that, we sat on top of the Hyperion S-based product that was out there. And then we moved, after that was implemented, we moved on to the next phases and the next modules of the Oracle e-Business Suite. So with that, we weren't even able to really pay much attention to what we did implement with the finance modules, and because all of our resources were dedicated towards the new modules. So we kind of, we had a long time period where we were kind of bare box Oracle EBS, GL and finance reporting right out of the gate. So we had quite a long journey under some pain points that I'll get into in just a little bit. So just to put a little bit of color on how significant our pain points were. And go ahead and so prior to Spreadsheet Server, as anybody can attest to, just working on the out-of-the-box EBS suite, a lot of good information in Oracle. It's a wonderful transactional tool. Where we had the most pain point was really getting the data out of the system in such a way that was effective to manage and effective to translate into more information, to make us allow us to have a educational business decision that was timely in nature as well. So we spent an exorbitant amount of time just taking the canned reports out of Oracle, getting them into the text files that were standard, and just really kind of manipulating them, and had our IT department really, spend a lot of time just kind of reformatting these things in such a way that we can make them useful. A lot of reports, like I said, it was all really good information, but a lot of times you just want to look at it a little bit differently, and that's where, Excel is a very powerful tool that you can able to sort and, run pivot tables and charts and things of that nature that just going to, let you triangulate into what it is you're really trying to accomplish with that set of data. We had, a lot of these reports, some of them were very large and they're very time-consuming to run. Ad hoc reports, for those who run FSGs with an Oracle, I mean, it's a wonderful tool, but a lot of times when ad hoc requests kind of come down the pipeline, you kind of have to go through the process of building this FSG that really isn't the most user-friendly way to do things. So we spent probably a good amount of time just kind of building that stuff, and then since it was an ad hoc related, a lot of times it didn't really stick as an ongoing requirement. So this felt like it was wasted effort to get a specific report that's just going to get thrown away and not used on an ongoing basis. It was really difficult. Again, Oracle's got a lot of great information, and the transactional part of it is really beneficial to our company. but it seems to be that it was a lot more difficult to drill down than what we expected. So, just going from the financial statements and drilling it down to a source transaction, it required, the proper security setups. It required a lot of different screens and hats to kind of get into to really get to where you're looking for, especially if you're running a batch-based, transactional data flow. So there was just a lot of drill down that seemed to just take a lot more time than what it really should. So we definitely had to live with that pain point for a number of years before we were fully implemented on Oracle, and we can really start looking at our horizon and what we wanted to do with this thing. And as I mentioned earlier, too, we just needed IT help on nearly all of our reports, with the exceptions of FSGs that we were trained from the users. I'm thinking more queries to drill down into subledgers and things of that nature that it seemed to consume a lot of our IT time when we really didn't have IT time to spare, as they were focused on implementing the rest of the modules within the Oracle EBS suite. So then now, after we lived with that for a number of years, why did we choose Spreadsheet Server? Our group here at Knape Vogt, we're very familiar, as I'm sure all of you are, with Microsoft Excel. That's where our comfort zone is at. It's a very powerful tool for spinning your data in different ways, sorting pivots, charts, things of that nature, dashboarding, all that stuff. So that was one of the things that really grabbed our attention as to, from the other competitors is really their mantra of start in Excel, stay in Excel. I would say that's true for, in our experience, about 80–85% of the time. And I find myself hardly ever actually logging into Oracle any longer. Of course, you're going to have the need for processing the transactions, but from a reporting standpoint, I spend about 85% of my time just within Excel alone, and using those ribbons that are on the add-on. So it's a very nice tool from that perspective. Another reason why we chose Spreadsheet Server, our IT resources are still very consumed with a lot of other projects that are going on within our company, and it was a very quick implementation. It was, as we were going through the diligence process, that was another key factor for us, quick implementation, little internal resources that were needed. That was very beneficial to us. And it's user-friendly, not only from once you're up and running perspective, but everything is as clear in the ribbons and, nice, GUI interfaces with, icons on everything. It's just very well laid out, where if you have a question on something, you just basically hover your cursor over the button and it gives you a little description as to what it is that button will do for you. So it's really user-friendly. We've rolled it out to our licenses to people without, outside of the finance organization as well, and we've got some good feedback as far as ease of use as well. And this is a big one for us as well. It's all real time. So as the transaction is posted within Oracle EBS, it is available almost instantaneously within the Spreadsheet Server tools. As I alluded to earlier, we had the Hyperion S-Base, which is it's a nice tool. It worked for us for financial reporting and that sort of thing. However, it wasn't beneficial as we went through certain business cycles, such as our financial close cycle, where we kind of need real-time information. Our S-Base, the way that it was set up, it was only pulling data like once every 3 hours or so. So if you needed to see something within that window, you're going to have to wait until 3 hours kind of come up, and by that time it might be already too late as far as what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So real-time data, easy to use with an Excel base, and then just the overall user friendliness were the three big key selling points from my perspective. After Spreadsheet Server, as I mentioned, that we just stay in Excel, not just myself, but all the other users as well. That's where everyone's comfortable. Very easy. Once the data is kind of pulled, you can set up templates to have a pivot table or a pivot chart or any other complex formulas within Excel. Just automatically pull off that data. So there's been, what that does, it makes it so easy to move from, say, period to period. If you built a template and it's built for the month of February as an example, now you want to update it for March, it's very easy to write a couple VLOOKUP formulas or what have you, and validation, and just have the reports kind of run itself and then automatically update. And I'll show you an example of that later on in the presentation. Ad hoc analysis, much easier than what we had in the past. Specifically, a specific example, I mean, once you get something set up, as far as, whether it be, sales data, cost data, travel and entertainment expenses, whatever the case may be, you could easily set it up with a couple copies and paste functions within Excel to go from like a variance analysis to now you want to see that same data kind of spread out month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year, over whatever time period you're looking for. Literally, it just takes a couple clicks of a button and then hitting the refresh button, and it's all real-time data. So in the past, we would have had to build a new FSG if it was a new requirement, likely test it to make sure the data is pulling the right information and that sort of thing, and then having the calculations in Excel rather than in the FSG itself, huge benefit for us. And there's very, very little IT involvement now. It's they're able to focus on more customer-facing issues, which that's what we want them to do as we continue on this digital trend that we're going through and getting more people up on EDI interface as an example. We want to get our IT resources focused on customer-facing issues to help drive our business. So just taking that burden off of them for ad hoc things and miscellaneous reporting was a huge benefit to the company as a whole to help us focus on our customers. So they've had great customer service with us, ongoing training. I have not been bashful on a couple questions that just drop them an email, give them a call, whatever, and they've got a nice help support as well. So on an ongoing basis, I feel like we're well supported in that regards. And, we're a little, or some people within our license group, we're like, oh, it looks pretty techy to me. So am I going to be able to get it? I'm not an IT guy, or anything like that, but it couldn't be more user-friendly, and it was easy to learn. And once you get a train-the-trainer type of person in your respected organization, I'm confident that you guys would have the same success that we would. Just as far as an ease of use. So a couple examples of what it is, and we've got a lot more than this, but common reports and queries that we've used within this tool, are not limited to, but here's some of the key ones that we use. We just moved from Essbase, our Hyperion Essbase platform, and we're doing all of our financials directly within Spreadsheet Server after building a couple templates. From a P&L perspective, balance sheet, cash flow, we've got templates set up that it's comparison year over year, month over month, quarter over quarter, and then, trended information, rolling quarters, rolling annual, and that sort of thing as our shareholders, request this type of information. A lot quicker to do, a lot easier to do, and the distribution manager tool, I'll explain that in a little bit, really helps out just, carving off time of emailing and formatting and things of that nature. So the financials have been much more efficient, not only from a distribution standpoint within our shareholders, but also the integrity of the data and just how automated it is. We've carved a good day out of our close cycle just from a reporting standpoint because of this tool and the real-time information that it provides. We hold our cost center owners accountable to what it is their respective plans are, and so we've developed some cost center variance reports that we can look at on a month-over-month basis, and we shoot it out throughout the organization with a couple clicks of a button. And then, it's in a way that, not everybody likes to review the data the same way. So what's nice about this is you can kind of tailor some of these cost center reports to specific cost center owners And then, you know, within distribution manager, again, I'll get to that in a second, but you can distribute everything all at once without having to, you know, go in and kind of monkey with a couple different types of templates. So it's been very easy from that perspective. Annual audits, there's a variety of disclosures and you know, financial statements that kind of go out, and we just finished our first annual audit we're about to hit our second one under the spreadsheet server tool, but this was one of the first big reports that we did, was just an audit disclosure report where basically every number that is going to end up in our financial statements and disclosures, we developed one report to just pull all that stuff, and then it was literally just a copy and a paste of the numbers into the actual financial statements. And that report itself probably saved a good 40 hours of ticking and tying and everything like that, and it was just a refresh of the financial statement. So that was one of our big time savers there. And then, just getting down into more, I mean, there's sub-ledger reports as well, where you can pull directly from your order management system through the Query Designer tool to pull sales by customer. You can compare it to budget as long as you have it in a respective table within EBS. And you can run it for period over period to see that trended information. It really attaches to any database that you can think of within Oracle or external as well. I have not personally seen the external side of things just yet, but that's something that's very much on our horizon that we would like to explore, and maybe getting some payroll information and things of that nature. So sales by product line we use very, very much, so that goes right into our cost of goods sold module, and we can pull all that stuff to see, what SKUs are moving. So we use that report for really our, looking at our excess and obsolete inventory, so working capital management. Our usage reports for our product line sales has been really useful, and we've, just to get comfort in it, we've definitely taken some internal audit approaches on it, making sure it's pulling all the right data, and, we've had a 100% success rate as far as integrity of the data, so everyone's very confident that it is pulling actual transactions from the system. Basically, at the end of the day, if there's a field in Oracle, you can generate a report to pull that and, potentially join it with other respective databases. So it's been a lifesaver from our perspective. All right, so here's a couple examples that we have developed here at Knape Vogt, and this one specifically is more of a dashboard, a trended dashboard, if you will. And as you can see, this is just the complete output. The actual data on the Excel file we have kind of hidden way off to the right, and then have a automatic pivot table to pick up all of the data. So as soon as you refresh it for a new month, all you have to do is refresh the respective pivot table, and it's going to update the pivot information, all the charts, and then we can easily toggle between, as you can see there in our slicers on the left-hand side, we've got a variety of different channels that we're looking at, and so you can, in this specific example, you can see our sales per day to see what our run rate might be or in which direction it's going, and then also what our standard margin is by that channel. And, I'll just pick on the month of June 2016. This is something that you can really see stand out in my perspective, is we had a really nice sales month that month, but we really kind of gave away the farm as far as a trended percentage of margin goes. And that is a good executive summary that we can dive in there and say, okay, well, what happened? The reality of this one, there was a large project that we had to discount on some pricing a little bit and to get the volume, and so that was an easy explanation for us to go through to our executive team and our shareholders as to what happened that month, because it looks so out of the ordinary. This is another one. This one is a more involved one that we have, and if we were to expand this entire thing, you would see all the inputs over to the left of the headers, but this is the final product. And what I like about this one is it's an interactive metric sheet for us, where we can really gauge performance. This happens to be for our consolidated enterprise for the month of February, and through Spreadsheet Server, the little miscellaneous queries that are giving us output is going to give us the actual information for the month of February, what we had planned, where were we last February, and then the last 3 months, which is, what we're going to simulate a quarter. So just to kind of see where we're at on the last 3 months basis, and then also on a year-to-date basis as well. And the way that, going back to the Excel functionality and how comfortable we are with this, we built this template in such a way where all you do is just change the month from February to March, hit refresh, and then everything all the way through the entire file will update it to whatever month that you're kind of looking for. So just with a couple, VLOOKUP formulas on what value February equals from a period perspective and that sort of thing. So really pretty easy. It takes a couple minutes for it to run, but you just change that number or change that month from February to March as an example, hit refresh, and then go grab a cup of coffee. By the time you're back, it's all refreshed and ready to distribute. So it's been a nice feature for us, timeliness of information. It also includes P&L activity as well as balance sheet activity. And I mentioned before that one of our goals here at Knape Vogt is to explore outside of Oracle EBS and see if we can get more automated. You can see down at the bottom there we've got some headcount information. That currently is outside of Spreadsheet Server and outside of Oracle EBS. So from my understanding is that is a database that we could create and have Spreadsheet Server kind of pull, but that's still on our horizon that we'd like to explore, because that's the only manual piece that we have in this whole thing. So not too bad for the most part. It just takes a couple minutes. This tab here, this slide here, is really just an example of, or one example of what the input might look like. And when we were going through the initial training, I included this slide because I remember thinking when I went through the initial training of looking at this, I immediately thought, well, hey, I'm not an IT guy. This looks pretty techie to me. Like, I'm sure I could probably figure it out, but I know there's a lot of people that within our department that aren't really tech savvy at all, and this might be a little bit over their heads. So it worried us just for a little bit as far as ease of use and that sort of thing. And, I got to say, after the first, we did some live examples, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and had them do it themselves. And it couldn't have been more user-friendly. There's nice wizards within the tool to kind of help you if you're stuck on a specific formula. It's been pretty easy for us to kind of maneuver through from all of our users' perspectives. And what's nice about it too is it's dynamic. So right now, as an example, you can see the green cells are highlighted in green. That's kind of a key for me to say, okay, well, if I want to change it to the month of March, then I would change it from an 8 to a 9, and then just hit the refresh button and it's going to go. So this is an example of what the input would look like, and then so it's not going to give me a lot of data there, and it's going to make more sense in a little bit. This is what the output would look like from that input directive. So basically, I'm saying give me all of my account strings within cost center 3202, and give me the actuals for the month, give me what was the plan, and then automatically calculate out what the variance is, so we can this would be an example of what we would send to our cost center owners so they can look into what may be driving a couple of these variances. Not big variances in this specific month or year to date, but it's good information. And again, it's pulling it directly from Oracle, your account ledger, and that sort of thing based on how you build it. And it includes subtotals, and then you can format it however you want it, so it's going to be repetitive. Every single month you change it, it's going to be the same output, just going to pull different numbers. Query Designer, this one is a little bit more techy, but I wanted to show this one as well because I'll be the first to admit I'm not too savvy when it comes down to query building and everything like that. But that was a skill set that I personally wanted to at least know the baseline of. So I went down to our IT department and asked if I could get a license and some very light training on Query Designer. And it was within maybe 2 hours of them walking me through that before I had, 3 or 4 different queries developed on my own that, didn't exist, and things that I didn't even know that I would surprise myself. I didn't know that I would be able to do so easily and that sort of thing. So this is just kind of an example of what it looks like, and for those who've been in Microsoft Access, it's very similar. You're joining tables. It's just overwhelming how many tables are in Oracle itself, and you can find the tables through EBS and just right-clicking on the record history. It'll tell you where that specific field is at, and then it's just a matter of looking up that table and then recreating the what it is that you want. So like, as an example, over on the right-hand side, you see the, numbers 1 through 9. Those are called smart parameters. So basically that's going to be your input criteria. So what do you want it to pull? And then all of the rectangle boxes with the blue on the top, that's all your Oracle tables. And you can see I'm joining a couple common threads between, POs and invoice numbers and things of that nature to be able to pull that data. And then down in the lower left-hand corner, or bottom, actually the bottom section of this slide, that's what you want your report to show. So it's basically all your columns that you want it to see. It's going to tell you which table it's pulling from, and then the nice thing about the query builder too is you can add, calculated fields. So if you want to do some calculations, percentages, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, any formula that you want to do, you can throw it directly in the query, so you don't have to manipulate it after it comes out, which has been a nice feature. Also, grouping too, you can group things together. As an example, we have a revenue query that pulls literally every single line of every invoice generated, which is way too much data. It helps us for certain things when we run it smaller, but if you run it wide open, just way too much data to sift through. So you can take a copy of that query and then do a summation by customer or by product line, and then the output comes out in such a way and however you want it. And then you also have the ability to drill down as well should you need that line level detail, which is a nice feature for us. Like the input tab on the basic general ledger piece, this is an example of what an input would look like on a query. So once it's developed, we've taken the practice of just saving a template out, like in a common folder on the network drive. So if anybody wants to run it, we could actually, we're in process of putting some of these templates directly on our internal website. So everybody has access to them for the ones that are, able to do so. So, but this is what it would look like. If you remember my smart parameters that I mentioned, those are the inputs. So I can run it by legal entity, whatever cost center I want, and then what periods do I want, what year. And if I wanted to see spend activity for a specific vendor, I could just type in that vendor with a wild card, and then it's just going to give me everything that it is I'm going to pull. And again, it'll agree exactly to what you're seeing in Oracle EBS if you drill down from the financials or look directly into the subledger. So it's a lot more intuitive, and it's a lot more user-friendly than diving into the standard reports of Oracle EBS. And again, it's very easy to toggle between different cost centers, different vendors, different periods, just a couple clicks of a button. So it's been very nice for us. Next slide is an example of what the output, how we use it. So that input was really teed up to give me all the spend information for cost centers 3202 and cost centers 3203. And much like the trended dashboard that I showed you guys a little bit earlier, this one's set up with a pivot table, just pulling all that data. And again, as soon as the data gets populated, you just refresh it, and then I can see my spend by month, by vendor, and of course for I blacked out the vendor names on that, but you can see the dollars kind of flowing through, and so we can see a little bit of trend of what's going on with which suppliers. Distribution manager. I was a late adopter to this, and now I can't really get away from it. It's been a really nice feature for us. it's really it's a great way to do multiple different things, such as just saving your published files. You can save them if you've got a template that's pulling data and you want it saved to the network. As an example, you could either save it as a PDF file, save it as an Excel file that really pastes values for all the spreadsheet server related formulas. So that way, if somebody's trying to open it that does not have a license to spreadsheet server, they're going to be able to see it, just as a canned report with values and that sort of thing. So it's been really nice. You can post it to an internet site, as a saving technique, or you can email it. You can email it to individuals. You can email it to a group. The add-on works right in with Microsoft Outlook. So as you go through the specs, which I don't have a picture of it here, but if you go through the specs, you can just, it looks just like Microsoft Outlook. You can select as many people as you want on the email. You can add a subject line to it. You can add, a body to the email, which you can see a little bit over to the right-hand side where it's in a cell, but obviously can't pick up everything that's in it within this screenshot. But the beauty of this, too, we've got I mentioned the cost center reports, where we could have, 25 different cost centers, and each tab goes to a different person. What's nice about distribution managers, you don't have to monkey around with sending those individually anymore, or making a copy of that tab and then emailing them out individually. You can have one template that you publish it, have all your cost center and your data information ready to go, and then as long as you have your cost center owners set up to be programmed to just pull specific tabs for each respected person, then you just hit the distribute all button, and then it just sends a mass email with multiple. You can send 25 emails all at one time, and it's going to go however you said you want it to go. So if you've got a cost center owner that wants it in Excel, but you got another one that wants it in a PDF file, you could easily do that within Distribution Manager, and it'd still just be within a one-click hit to distribute all. As long as those rules are set up, it's going to go through that process and get everybody the formatting that they want. So that's been I probably started using this maybe 2 months ago, and that was way too late. I should have been using it a lot further, but I was a late adopter to that one. But it's definitely a good tool for us, and just from keeping that efficiency down and just letting us focus on other value-added activities for the business instead of kind of going through the cycle of the record to report process and monkeying around with emails. So.
Cory, quick question that came up here. Could you talk about how long it took for you to implement Spreadsheet Server?
Sure. To fully implement it, to get it up and running, it was, I believe we had 1 full day, which of that full day, I believe the first maybe 3 hours was just the installation process. And then Global Software had a trainer on site that we kind of did. The rest of it was just user training. So and then we had another full day of training as well. So the full implementation of it, between the time that we got the product and we were actually using it for the first time, was about a half a day. And then we had training going on the rest of the day, and then the next day we had training as well. I would advise, take full advantage of that and trying to get to know what it is that you're going to be looking for, because you can maximize your training that way by actually doing live examples of what you want to build while an initial trainer is there in-house. But very quick and painless, and if I didn't mention it before, very little IT involvement. They were in the room just in case, but really they weren't used that often with that respect.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Cory. If anyone else has other questions for Cory specifically, feel free to put them in the Q&A box of the WebEx. And now we'll jump over to Kevin, and he's going to just take us through real quickly a few features that Cory referenced in his portion of the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cory and Sue. Again, my name's Kevin Gibson. I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to put some visualization now, some live functionality to what Cory has done a wonderful job explaining and demonstrating, is that with our product, it's Excel-based reporting. It's live data. It's read-only information now that takes a click of a button to update, refresh. Security is respected here, so you're not going to access data that you couldn't get to as if you log directly into, in this case, the Oracle e-Business Suite application. I do want to make sure that you all also understand that we're not just limited to pulling data from the Oracle system. A lot of our customers today use Oracle as their primary GL or reporting package or their general ledger package that, you know, they may have a fixed asset software, they may have a payroll software, they may have a billing, or maybe even Salesforce that they're utilizing today to capture other data. Excel and Spreadsheet Server can still capture that information as well. And again, the ease of use is still there. The interface becomes Excel. You don't have to be technical. You certainly just leverage our product and then begin to do your natural reporting. Now, what the screen that you see here, again, I'm just going to bring to life just some examples that we have put together. And I certainly want you all to see and understand how the product works. And just to make the connection between what Spreadsheet Server is and where it sits, if you look at the top of my screen, you will see a ribbon labeled just that, Spreadsheet Server. So that ribbon right there is what Cory and his team are using today to create and operate their financial reports. So that ribbon, you'll notice, sits along with all the other ribbons that Excel provides. We are a Microsoft partner. We are an Oracle partner. So we're going to have you covered on the Oracle side as far as reading the data. We have you covered on the Microsoft side as certifying that it's being able to be pulled into these Excel spreadsheets. And now we let you, the finance or the Excel guru, be able to take advantage of that reporting. Now this report here, GL focused, as Cory did a great job describing, we're more than just GL. So we're going to start with that. We'll build a report. We'll talk about other report examples here real briefly. But the goal is that you'll see is live data that simply is just refreshed with parameters that you set into the report. Now, the four that I have listed here, a company, a department, a month, and a year, are what drive this data. Now, one of the things that Cory wasn't able to show because of just not wanting to disclose his information is within his spreadsheets, there is a formula. That formula is what connects you directly into the information. I'm going to talk about and demonstrate how that formula gets created, but you don't, again, have to be a technical expert in order to do that. We have a function called a build a template that will allow you to insert that formula and then, again, start building reports. Now, that formula is connected to the parameters. The parameters that I just pointed out are what drive that data. So as I want to change a parameter, in this case, I want to change a different department, you will see the spreadsheet automatically recalculate with that new information. If I simply want to change and consolidate, we have a wild card. As a standalone, it will pull all department data into one report and, again, just trigger a recalculation. Now, once you have filtered off of your data, let's utilize that formula and some of the other functions that we provide, and drill down is certainly one of those. If you would like to dive deeper into repair and maintenance or any other category in this spreadsheet, simply highlight that cell, select the magnifying glass located on the ribbon, and you will see this panel appear on your screen. Well, that panel holds the drill down functionality. It holds the information that made up that balance that I just selected. Like a pivot table, this screen that you see here, we can certainly start working together and pulling that information into different forms and fashion. You want to group it by department, you want to group it by account. Notice it will work in the same fashion, and then you can just continue to expand out that detail and see the lowest level inside of this panel. You can rearrange the way these panels are set up. If you want the description on the left side, you can just move it there. You want to continue to keep drilling, you can. Select any line, select any department, any account number. You want to dive deeper on the high dollar items, all you have to do is simply double click, and it will return the journals and or transactions that made up that specific balance. The drill downs certainly can go further into the detail. If you would like to expand on your expense transaction, we have gone into the journal information. We now notice that we have some different sources, cost management, some payable data here available. If you want to see the invoice image, we can even access that level of detail through these drill downs if you need to have that. But to go further, again, just double click on any line. You'll notice we're going to use something just a little bit different this time. It says query, but all that means is we're going to query against the other modules. So in this case, I need to see my AP information, simply follow that through, and now I have my vendors, vendor names, vendor numbers, invoice dates, invoice numbers. Access to all the data, even to the lowest level, the journal entry, the spreadsheet that made that up. If you're storing that, we can grab it, we can capture it, we can open it. You do not have to leave Excel. You do not have to go back into Oracle or any other database that you're using. Again, Excel is the interface. Access to the data is what we drive. Now, again, as we're walking through this, please submit any comments or questions. Sue will certainly monitor those, and we'll address those probably toward the end of my piece, which will last about 5 or 6 more minutes here. But I certainly want to get you all some more understanding of how this product works. And the next step to that is actually building a report. What steps did Cory go through to insert his information into Excel? Well, all I'm going to do is just add another tab into my workbook. Just like you understand Excel, it just adds another sheet, sheet 1 here. You'll notice this is just a blank template. So what this will allow me to do is utilize this Build a Template button located here on the ribbon. And when I select that, you will see this panel appear on the screen. Now, there's a couple of different flavors that we have here as far as formulas are concerned, as laid out in this first column. The first one relates to the GL, which is general ledger-based information. Balance sheets, income statements, cash flows, day-to-day account analysis. That's the same formula that we used in that income statement. Now, it doesn't mean I can't drill through into the other subledger detail, because I absolutely can. We'll just start with a GL component in order to get there. The query formulas. Cory alluded to a query designer capability. Well, here's the formula that allows you to insert those queries into Excel spreadsheets. So if you'd like to bypass the GL, maybe you want to go right against AP, AR, or some other module, this is the formula that you would use. Now, they both work in Excel, and they both use formulas. All you have to do is insert the information into your template. Now, on the GL, these are the parameters as it relates to my e-business suite setup. Every company is a little bit different. Their segments are different. You may have more, you may have less. I'm utilizing 5. Cory is utilizing a cost center as one of his. You'll notice I don't have the same parameter here, but that's okay. That speaks to the flexibility of the product and how we can connect into any instance that you have set up today. Now, all the user has to do is walk through the options that are listed here, insert them into Excel. I'm a former user of this product for 6 years. I can tell you this is exactly what you will walk through when you have this product installed. Answering some questions, such as where's the worksheet you want to use, to the different balance types, actual, budget, encumbrance, project, if you'd like to use some of these other options. All of your budgets, forecasts, and plans can be recognized. For some of you out there that may be using Hyperion today or the SmartView add-in, our products run side by side. You can pull your budget right beside Spreadsheet Server Actuals. The year, that's the year of information you'd like to see, so that's a pretty simple selection. Formatting, periods, quarters, year-to-date, like-to-date, and ranges. The period represents the month you'd like to start with. If you have different currencies or you want to work with the different ways that it was entered into the system. The E stands for entered. You want to work with the translated or even multi-currency as an option. Just make that parameter selection. Even being able to change the currency itself. Different ledgers, if you are using those, if you have access to them, again, remember, security is respected here. If you only have access to one ledger, it will only appear as the ledger you can use. FSGs, if you have those today, we can convert those by checking this box here. That will allow me to convert all the FSG reports already in my system, so you won't have to walk through a rebuilding process. Now, as far as the segments are concerned, I'm just going to select a few of these. And to the right of those, I have a row versus column option. Notice when I click on that row button, it turns into a column. And what that means is, will the data go up and down, or will it go left to right? To the right of each of the column buttons, I have this value column that has the wildcard in it. I can leave it or I can remove it and start filtering. So if you want company 1, department 410, and you would like to use some accounts, you just simply start typing those into the box, and Spreadsheet Server will generate the information. So in this case, I have filtered through my general ledger. I'm going to hit the Insert button here, and notice that the formula is automatically created. I didn't have to do anything with that, key or code that. And you can forget Spreadsheet Server for it even exists here for a few seconds, because all I'm going to do is copy and paste to expand out this report. If you would like to change parameters, you can. If you would like to make options report on the quarter, you want to pull in year to date. If you would like to make this a range, you can pull in months 1 through 5. If you would like to insert a variance column into your spreadsheet, you can compare the two options of the quarters, or you could sum it together. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, it's really up to you. If you would like to copy this down the spreadsheet, you can. And now you can see that you're starting to put some format and some life to this blank template that we started with. Even being able to incorporate the wildcard, pulling in all account numbers that start with a 7. You want to apply different descriptions and definitions to your categories? You can. Remember, it's just Excel. You are in control. So this is the report building phase. This is what you as a user will walk through. This is what Cory and his team were working with. The build the template, dropping the formula, and now it's just user preference. How much data would you like to pull? What data is it that you are trying to pull? Because again, every module is accessible with our product. Drop the formula in the spreadsheet, build this out, utilizing every other option that Excel provides from the ribbon standpoint, and now your reporting month-end close process has just become a little bit more streamlined. A lot of those challenges of the data dumps, the rekeying, or just using canned reports are now being replaced by Spreadsheet Server. So I'm going to show you all just a couple other report examples just so you get a natural understanding of what we do here. Certainly, if you all have an interest in this product, we do custom demos for individuals, so we'll dive a little bit deeper into what we do and how we do it. Certainly just giving you an overall feel of how that can be accomplished. But some of the other report examples, some individuals need dashboards. They need to see summarized information. Notice in this report, accounts receivable, revenue, inventory, and a cash flow in 4 different distinct areas here, and each category is very much interactive for the user. You want to change parameters, you want to drill down into the detail and see what's going on with your accounts receivable data, you absolutely can, and now be able to analyze that information in a way that you maybe couldn't do it before, certainly a lot easier. Inventory levels that are being maintained by a category selection. If you want to change to a different option, all you have to simply do is double click on it, and you'll notice my report will reflect those changes. To the last report example, an account inquiry. We've shown you reports where we start at the detail level. Cory was using reports that start at the detail level, bypassing the general ledger, summarized, drillable detail, now going right into that information that not only relates to the GL, but notice I'm even pulling in vendor information and AP invoice amounts. So we're even crossing modules here that from a user perspective, who's not even an Excel guru, can change a parameter in a cell, kick off that transaction, and notice that my report will refresh for all activity that related to account 7120, as noted in the columns here, represented by that filter. So that's the ease of use, whether it's summarized, it's detailed, it's now Excel that you're using to generate it.
Hey, Kevin, we have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we get in here before the end of the webinar. One of the questions, there's 2 that are somewhat related. One is, does Spreadsheet Server require a server? And the other is, do we require a data warehouse? Would you like to address those? Do you want me to?
Sure, no, certainly I can take those. As far as what Spreadsheet Server, it is truly just an add-in to Excel. So there's no server component here. There's no hardware. We truly are a software-based product. So our functionality, even though it has the term server in it, only needs Excel in order to function. So it is truly a client install. So and naturally, that means that we do not have a data warehouse component. So you do not have to wait for something to update. You're not creating a data dump into another server that we're pulling information from. If someone makes journal entries or changes to your data, you simply recalculate and refresh the reports, and those instant changes will be automatically available inside of your templates or your reports that you created.
Great. One other question, and yeah, there's one about training and what's needed for training, since it is just Excel, and typically the training sessions run from 2 days to 3 days, depending on what features you're going to be using with Spreadsheet Server. But with those training sessions comes workshop time as well. So our trainers come on site to visit with you, show you how to use the solution, and then also spend time report building and working with the solution with you. So you walk away with a handful of reports ready to go. There's a question about which versions of eBusiness Suite are supported. And right now we are supporting 11i and 12.2 and 12.3, or 12.2 and 12.1, along with 11i. Sorry, I misspoke there. I don't believe we currently have customers using the earlier versions than that, although it's something we could certainly take a look at. For more questions, you can let me know directly at the email address below, and I'll be happy to help you with that. Another question about how Spreadsheet Server compares to SmartView. Well, so Spreadsheet Server is again, real time. So we're going directly against the transactional database to get the data real time, not just general ledger information, but also access to accounts payable, accounts receivable, fixed assets, as well as to any other application you might be using. So we have a number of customers who are using Spreadsheet Server to connect to eBusiness Suite for one part of their operations, PeopleSoft for another, JD Edwards for another, maybe MRI or Yardi or Microsoft Dynamics. So Spreadsheet Server not only is real-time, does not require a data warehouse, it also can connect to many different sources, as Kevin talked to earlier. So there's a lot of different ways that we're different from SmartView, although SmartView is an add-in to Excel, and you can use it side by side with Spreadsheet Server. So there was another question about hierarchies in the S-based cubes and how it impacts the templates that you've previously built and saved. Well, we don't use the S-based cubes. We're connecting directly to the eBusiness Suite database, and so we're using that. So we don't connect those cubes at all. Okay, we're just at the top of the hour here. Any other last-minute questions? And if we didn't get to a question, or you have some others that you're thinking of, you can see my telephone number is there, as well as my email address. Feel free to reach out to me individually. I'd be happy to talk with you, or even set up a more personalized presentation for you. Before we finish, I just want to take a moment to thank Kevin for his time in showing us Spreadsheet Server, but even more so, Cory for sharing all of the information that he did and his experiences at Knape Vogt and using not only Business Suite, but also Spreadsheet Server. It was really a lot of great information. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. We really appreciate you being here with us, and we hope to hear from you soon.